Hey, this is attorney Elizabeth Potts-Weinstein, and today we're going to talk about the problems with creating an anonymous business. I get questions on a regular basis about how to set up a business where the owner can be anonymous. There's a lot of reasons you may want to do this. Celebrities do this often because so many people are trying to get after them and get their information. Sometimes people do this to do illegal things, so hopefully that's not you, but people do this to do illegal things. Sometimes people are doing it because they're in danger, because their ex is stalking them, because a stranger on the internet is stalking them, and they need a very high level of privacy. Sometimes people do this because of their employer. Maybe they're worried that their employer is going to have some problem with what they're doing. And then some people do it just because they're a private person and they want to try to keep their name and their personal information, their address, etc., out of the business as much as possible. There's nothing inherently wrong with wanting to have as much anonymity as possible, as much privacy as possible in your business. But there's a big problem with this. And the problem is that, well, first, there is no such thing as being completely anonymous. If you think that you're going to be able to set up a structure, some super complicated multi-leveled structure, and you will be 100% anonymous and no one will ever find out, the answer is no. That is not true. No matter how much structure you put in place, a very clever hacker, someone who has a lot of time and money, a FBI investigator, an investigative journalist, there's lots of kinds of people who could find it, who could find you and your attachment to this and your information if they have enough money and if they have enough time and enough desire to do so. So it is important to realize that you may set up something that is very, very difficult to find you, but it is never going to be a guarantee. And I think sometimes there's a lot of, YouTubers and lawyers and all kinds of people who act as if it's a guarantee of anonymity. And the answer is there's no guarantee of that. I personally know multiple people who thought they had everything be anonymous using crypto, using VPNs, using all kinds of anonymous different electronic things, as well as different layers of legal structure. And they were found out because someone wanted to find them. And they have enough time and money. And people even put up bounties for this, all kinds of terribleness. So just be aware, there's no guarantee. But let's actually get into some of the problems of trying to set this up logistically. You've decided you want to do this. What else do you need to be aware of? Well, there is a direct relationship between how anonymous something is and then how expensive it is in money and complexity. The more privacy you want, the more you're going to have to pay people. You're going to have to pay other things. You're going to have filings you have to do. You're going to have this more complex setup with your business. It can make sense to have a little bit of privacy, like some levels of privacy, because it's not only a little bit of expense. If you want something super, 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 super private, you're going to have to pay accountants, lawyers. You're going to have to create multiple levels of business entities and structures in place to protect you. So it's something to be aware of. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in detail. It's also inversely relationship to your control. So the more anonymous you want to be, the less control you have over your business directly. If you want to be super anonymous, you're going to need to be paying a business manager, a lawyer, an accountant, all kinds of other people to be running things, because you're going to have, the more anonymity you have, you can't be in the business very much. And that is a danger. It's a risk that one of these people is going to take all the money and run off to Argentina. Okay. And that, I use that as an example because it literally has happened to many celebrities and specifically to that particular country. So this is a danger to be aware of. You need people you really trust and have good contracts with them and keep on top of it and at least get regular statements from them. So what am I talking about? The levels of complexity and the lack of control over a business if it is more and more anonymous. So for example, simple things you're going to need to do is you're going to need to pay for mailing addresses, registered agent addresses. You're going to need to pay for that kind of logistics. And that's a common thing that a lot of business owners do that can make sense to keep your personal address out of it. You're going to need to pay for probably multiple legal entities. So for example, let's say you have a business here in California. Well, if you file your LLC or corporation in California, you'll have to file a statement of information that has the name of the owner. So that doesn't going to work. So what you can do is, instead of having you own the LLC or corporation, you create a business entity in another state where you don't have to do those annual filings. So for example, let's say New Mexico. You create an LLC in New Mexico that, my understanding, because I'm not a New Mexican attorney, is that New Mexico, you don't have to do that kind of an annual filing where you disclose who the owner is. It can be effectively anonymous, but you have to pay for a registered agent there and someone to set it up and all that kind of stuff. And then that LLC owns the California LLC or corporation, and then you're owning that whole thing. But you're also going to make that LLC or corporation in California has to have a manager on the books, because the owner of it is that LLC in New Mexico. So that manager can't be you because your name is on it. So you have to pay someone to be the manager. Maybe you have a business partner, maybe you have a lawyer, maybe you have a CPA who's going to be the manager of the business. That person is going to have control over that business, and they get to say what's going on. And maybe you have a contract with them where they're supposed to come to you, but it's still, one more level where you don't have control, and one more level where you have to pay someone to do all this kind of stuff. Now, if you have this business in California, you're going to need to get a business license. Let's say you're selling products, you need to get a seller's permit. That has to have a human person's name on it. So I'm assuming this manager's name is going to be on it. So that's more stuff you have to pay them to do. So this is what I mean, is that it is, the more anonymous you want to be, the more expensive it is, because you have to pay other people, and the less control you have because those people get to do things that theoretically they need to be accountable for you, because you hopefully have a contract that says that. But I mean, obviously they're a person and they could be bad, and you don't have control over them literally, right? So when you're thinking about setting up an anonymous business, it is very important to have some self-awareness on how much anonymity and privacy do you need. Do you just need a bit where it is totally okay for your name to be on things, but you don't want your address, your home address, to be on anything? And then you pay for a registered agent and a co-working space and various things so you can keep your home address off stuff. Or do you need your name not on this at all? And be aware that it's going to cost more money to set up all this kind of stuff. And you also may think about what kind of a business you're going to have. And obviously, if you're providing services personally, you're going to need to be in the business in some way, shape, or form. Versus selling products, maybe you can put in enough layers. But you have to budget paying for all those layers that you put in. Again, this is attorney Elizabeth Potts-Weinstein. If you have any questions about what we talked about today, feel free to post them below and I'll try to point you in the right direction. Thumbs up for the algorithm, and subscribe if you like any more videos like this. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.